The Choreography of Presenting is a book that offers a framework of verbal and nonverbal skills that you can use to be of influence with the people that you work with. And what we believe is that at the heart of the work we do is the relationship with people. And it's these patterns of communication that serve as a catalyst for these relationships so you can get the right work done. And what we know, for instance, in relationships and at schools is that there are tensions. And when tensions are around people versus around issues, then there's some problems. There's some barriers to getting the work done. The Choreography of Presenting offers a set of skills to help navigate through those conflicts so that you can separate the issue from the people and deal on that issue and still preserve that relationship. The skills in the Choreography of Presenting are provided so that you can use them to be more influential in meetings, whether they're whole staff meetings, department meetings, grade level meetings, IEPs, everything that you do when you're interacting with people. The staff at your school, the students, the parents from home. It's about being able to establish credibility. It's about building and maintaining rapport. It's about listening to and acknowledging people when they're speaking so that they feel understood. In a sense, it's empathy. And it's also about how to respond to people so that that response is something that they're open and receptive to hearing. And of course, it's that idea of how do you recover with grace when things just don't go well? When, for instance, you maybe start a sentence you wished you hadn't started, or you respond to a question and it's not what the group wanted to hear, and you need to sort of recover so that you can reestablish your credibility, reestablish that rapport in the group. The Choreography of Presenting has a number of skills, around 50 or so, verbal, nonverbal patterns that you can use under each one of those categories. So let's visit a few of those skills that are outlined in the book. We'll begin with the idea of establishing credibility. Credibility, as you study it, is this idea that people have that at any given time you are worth listening to. And it's in the moment. You still need to have something to say. You still have to know what you're saying. Yet there are some nonverbal patterns related to the idea that you can gain greater credibility from a group through your voice tone, through pausing, through the use of gestures, and even stance. So as we explore this idea of credibility, take a look at a couple of videos that demonstrate some of the patterns of credibility so that you can see them in the moment. For people we talk with, listening to and acknowledging them is incredibly important, because when people feel listened to and acknowledged, they're more apt to open up. They're more apt to share ideas. They're more apt to reveal what it is that they might not understand completely, or what they might have questions about. In a sense, they might be even revealing their ignorance, if not to you, maybe to a whole group, or during a meeting with a group of people in their department. The idea is that if we can replicate some patterns that demonstrate to a person they've been listened to and understood, they'll continue communicating. And that's important because learning is always ongoing. And there are things that as adults and as professionals, we may not know something. And those that we work with expect us to know everything. So creating an environment where adults are comfortable enough with their discomfort at not knowing something in front of their colleagues, then we have a powerful culture and relationship. So the patterns around listening to and acknowledging can be used to help establish that culture. As you take a look at these videos, we'll talk about some of those patterns that support listening to and acknowledging. In addition to the idea of rapport and nodding and acknowledging the person, it's also about stance and paraphrasing and how you respond back. When running meetings, it's important to think about who you are to the group. We have a lot of identities professionally. You might be the principal, and at the same time, you might also be a colleague or a mentor or a coach. You might also be a content expert in something, perhaps around science or math or literature, as well as an instructional expert. So you have a lot of different identities. as the authority or as a subordinate or a direct report. So for people that we're working with, it's important for them to know who in the moment is talking. And also, if we're going to listen to people and then respond to them, the concept of having locations of identity, locations where you are a content expert, and locations where you take questions, it's important to have consciousness and deliberate intent when you're setting up those locations so that there's absolute clarity to the group about who's talking at any given time, and then also how to preserve your credibility when people are asking questions you might not know the answer to. So we'll take a look at a couple of videos that demonstrate this idea of using location when listening to and responding, as well as delivering information to a group. Lastly, one of the chapters in the book is Recovery with Grace. We all have been in a situation where we've said something we wished we hadn't said in front of a group, or we start a sentence that we wished we hadn't started and we kind of want to get out of it, or even to the point that we might be in a position in front of a group, and for that moment in time it's as if there's too many eyes on you or too much pressure in the moment and we want to get out of that space. There are ways to recover with grace that will maintain credibility, will maintain rapport, while at the same time allow the audience also to continue to be more receptive to you, or even increase their receptivity to you. So Recovery with Grace has a few skills to it that we can use in order to achieve those outcomes, to keep people receptive to hearing you and in a space where even their minds are receptive to hearing ideas.